welcome to American Bakery in Germany. I'm Michelle, and today we are making a very special cake. This is a commission from a friend of mine for her son's first birthday and her own birthday in the same week. So we are making a half and half split birthday cake for a 1-year-old with the theme of tools with the tool belt, and the other half is the theme of books. Let's get started.
After thinking about it, I decided I wanted to make the tools out of cookies instead of fondant. I wanted the baby to be able to pick them up. So I colored a batch of royal icing dark gray, light gray, red, and brown. I put them in piping bags without tips. I made tool-shaped cookies by cutting out the shape from a template. I piped the tip of the pliers out of light gray. Also, I have 2 of everything just in case I break one. Then I piped the handles with red. Then I did a similar color scheme with the screwdrivers. Then I piped light gray icing on the wrenches. Then I piped the hammers with light gray and brown. The saw I piped with a brown handle and a gray saw blade. I turned the camera off now, but I also piped some dark gray on the handles and heads of the tools as details. Now we're at cake. This is banana cake with dark chocolate ganache. The mother didn't want too much sugar since it was her son's first birthday, so this is an amazing combination that doesn't have nearly as much sugar as other options. I filled and frosted each half cake with chocolate ganache. I built the second half on a second board because I have more space to smooth the ganache and fondant on properly. I covered both half cakes with white fondant. I smoothed it on the pointed corners first to prevent tearing and trimmed the excess fondant with a knife. Then I shifted the second cake half to the cake board using ganache to stick it down. Then I started with some chocolate fondant and rolled it out. Cut out a number 1 and placed it on one half of the cake. Then I rolled out a snake of chocolate fondant into a strip. and placed it on the side of the cake. I tucked the ends between the two cakes. I took an overstitch wheel and added some stitching marks onto the belt. Then I cut short strips of fondant and added stitching and glued them loosely to the belt with edible glue. I'm missing some footage, but I made several of these around. Then I placed the saw between the two cakes. I loved it. I thought it looked like the saw was cutting the cake in half. I placed the other tools on top of the cake. They could fit in the belt, but the cake was too short to keep them there and they would fall out too easily. For the other side, I cut a whole bunch of strips of fondant of different sizes and heights. I started with very dark green, then brown, then blue, and finally red. And I placed them around the cake at various heights. I also tried to mix up the colors. Then I rolled out a thick piece of white fondant and pressed a line into the center with a skewer and a smoother, and a more shallow dent with a fondant roller. I also added scratch lines into the side of the book pages. I then laid it on a piece of brown fondant and cut around it to be the perfect size. Then I placed it on top of the cake. I rolled out a bit of red fondant and cut out a small strip that comes to a point on one side to be a bookmark. Finally, I painted some black food coloring on the book to spell Happy Birthday. And gold edible paint on the spines of the book to be different shapes and lines to look like books. I couldn't paint actual titles because the books were too small. How cute is this cake? I love the tools, I love the books, so adorable. For more cakes and tutorials, visit our website at AmericanBakerInGermany.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe for a new cake every week. Hit the notification bell to be the first to know when we upload a new video.